Thomas and the Magic Railroad. What can I say about this decisive film that hasn't already been beaten to death beforehand? An objectively shit movie for redeeming quality sprinkled here and there, yada yada, funny Alec Baldwin, you've heard it all before. I'm here today to instead talk about the part of Magic Railroad that I find most interesting, aside from its implications of the train's sentience and existence. Now, I'm here today to talk about its production history. More specifically, an overview of the props that I could find that were damaged en route to the making of this movie. Let's start off with some context, shall we? In 1999, production for Brett Allcroft's Big Thomas the Tank Engine movie had finally begun, and it was decided pretty early on that the movie would use the Gauge 1 scale props that the show had been using for over a decade prior to serve as the main models for the engines. Due to some tax tomfuckery, it was decided to film all of the Gauge 1 sets and scenes in Canada instead of in Shepperton Studios, the home of Thomas since 1986, and as such many of the props and buildings from Shepperton were shipped to Canada for filming. On the trip from England, however, many of the props would suffer massive damage, including our first notable prop, the watermill, which had to be completely rebuilt for the film. In this rebuild, the main building gained new pillars, extra windows, and it was extended in length, whilst the bridge lost its arch and the guardrails along the side. This iteration of the watermill wouldn't stick around, however, as it was rebuilt again for Series 6 of the television series. My guess being that it was damaged again in the shipping back to Shepperton. But that's just between you and me. Our next prop is the ever-iconic TATMR sheds. The original was intact, at least to begin with, when it arrived in Canada, but due to the heat on set reportedly reaching 113 degrees Fahrenheit, the original model became warped and damaged beyond repair, forcing the crew to make a new version, which was noticeably taller and longer than its predecessor. The model was built with a hole in its wall for a specific scene in the film where Diesel 10 knocks over scaffolding being used to repair the sheds. This hole was later patched up for Series 6. Another model rebuilt for the film, but possibly not damaged in the shipping, was the accompaniment to TATMR sheds, the TATMR Engine Works. The original model hadn't been seen since the second series in 1986, and since the third series, a generic warehouse was used in its place. But for whatever reason, a new version of the Series 1 original was made for the film. It was shorter in length and width overall, but it was a rebuild. Where the original ended up is unknown. Maybe it was destroyed in the shipping, or maybe it was destroyed even earlier than that. Now, I could make a whole video on these next props alone, but alas I must condense them down into this single entry. This is the Tugs props. Very early on in Magic Railroad's development, director of the television series and creator of Thomas's sister show Tugs, David Mitten, proposed a scene entitled Thomas's Seaside Run-By, which involved Thomas appearing alongside and interacting with Mitten's Tugs characters. This scene was reportedly cut at the last minute due to an alleged feud between Allcroft and Mitten. Although, according to Dave Axford, one of the crew members from the movie, most of the Tugs props were shipped to and from Canada and were wrecked in the shippings, including most notably Big Mickey's prop, which had been used on the television show since the third series, and was completely destroyed either being shipped to Canada or back to England. The crew eventually made a new model of Lord Michael for the 6th series. It's unknown if any of the boat characters actually made it to Canada or not, but if they did, it's safe to say it's probably a part of the reason why they were so damaged upon being found in a skip 11 years later. One of the only engine props we know for sure was damaged was James's prop. It ended up getting damaged during the filming of his and Diesel 10's confrontation at the smelter's yard. During filming, his prop fell off the set, resulting in its cab being cracked. This damage was quickly patched up to finish filming. The cab apparently remained in a damaged state until after the production of Series 6, where it was replaced and a new roof made of brass was fitted. Lady and Diesel 10's props were also pretty banged up when they were sent to the UK after filming. Lady's prop still having the green screen block used for filming under its chassis, and Diesel 10's prop having one of its buffers missing and the head of the claw hanging on by several wires. They remained like this until about 2004, when they were both refurbished for calling all engines. The next and final entries come from information gathered from Thomas Tank Merch. According to them, Cranky the Crane's prop possibly received some damage during the shipping, due to apparently being shipped in nothing but cardboard. This information could explain why his iMech appeared wonky in a behind-the-scenes photo. Also, according to Thomas Tank Merch, many of the troublesome truck props were heavily damaged upon return to England. with many of them having their axle guards replaced upon return.